ever wondered how the Russia-Ukraine conflict began? To grasp the roots of this conflict, we need to travel back in time to the fall of the Soviet Union. In 1991, Ukraine declared independence, marking a new chapter in its history. But this development wasn't welcomed by everyone. The cultural and political differences between Russia and Ukraine, which had been suppressed during the Soviet era, began to resurface, creating tension. Ukrainian society, diverse and multifaceted, found itself divided between pro-Russian and pro-European factions. The pro-Russian group, largely based in the eastern regions, yearned for closer ties with Moscow, while the pro-European group, prevalent in the West, aspired for integration with the European Union. These ideological divides, deeply rooted in Ukraine's history and society, along with the geopolitical ambitions of Russia and the West, created a volatile mix. This mix eventually ignited, leading to the conflict we're witnessing today. This complex history set the stage for the conflict we see today. So, how did this political tension escalate into a full-blown war? The fuse was lit back in 2014 when Ukraine decided to pivot westward, favoring a trade deal with the European Union over Russia. This move was seen as a rejection of Ukraine's historical ties with Russia and sparked a series of events that would lead to war. Russia, feeling snubbed and threatened by Ukraine's westward leanings, decided to make a bold move. They annexed Crimea, a region of Ukraine that had a majority Russian-speaking population and housed a significant Russian naval base. This act of aggression was a clear violation of international law and sent shockwaves around the world. Meanwhile, in the eastern regions of Ukraine, where Russian-speaking Ukrainians are in majority, pro-Russian uprisings sprang up. These protests quickly escalated into a full-blown civil war, with separatists fighting for independence from Ukraine. The unrest provided a convenient cover for Russia to continue its military incursions into Ukraine, further fueling the conflict. With the annexation of Crimea, the war officially began. This pivotal moment marked the transition from political tension to a military conflict that would have far-reaching implications, not just for Ukraine and Russia, but for the entire world. Fast forward to today, what's the current state of the conflict? The war between Russia and Ukraine is a story of endurance and strategy. Leaked documents from the United States reveal a mixed bag of fortunes for both sides. On one hand, Russian ground forces are nearing exhaustion, with few reinforcements available. A significant number of their army battalions committed to the conflict are described as combat ineffective, having lost a considerable number of tanks. Russian special forces, too, have taken a hit. On the other hand, Ukraine isn't without its challenges. The country's air defenses are depleted, making them susceptible to Russian air superiority. Their reliance on Soviet-era air defenses leaves them vulnerable to aerial attacks. However, Ukraine isn't backing down. They have more armored vehicles in the field and are actively training and equipping their brigades for a counteroffensive. The involvement of other countries adds another layer of complexity to the situation. Russia is reportedly seeking weapons from Egypt and using private military companies to source arms from Turkey. There's even a suggestion that China is secretly supplying Russia with lethal equipment. Meanwhile, former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson advocates for providing Ukraine with military aid, including tanks, planes, and artillery. The hope is that this aid will help Ukraine win the war against Russia and enhance Western security. Ukraine's President Zelensky is also counting on international support to end the war. In the midst of all this, Russia has tested an intercontinental ballistic missile and suspended its participation in the New START nuclear arms reduction treaty with the United States, escalating global tensions. In short, the situation is like a high-stakes game of chess, with pieces moving across the board, alliances shifting, and strategies evolving. As the war continues, the situation remains fluid and complex. Why does this conflict matter to the world? Let's dive into it. The Russia-Ukraine conflict is not just a regional issue, it's a global concern. It's a chess game of international relations where every move can shift the balance of power. This conflict has put global security on the line, as nations worldwide watch with bated breath, concerned about the potential escalation and the unsettling precedent it sets. The economic stability of many countries is intertwined with this conflict. Disruptions in Ukraine, a key transit country for natural gas, can cause global energy prices to skyrocket, impacting economies far and wide. Moreover, the involvement of other countries has the potential to turn this regional conflict into a global crisis. As we've seen, countries like China are implicated, with suggestions of covert weapon supplies to Russia. However, amidst the turmoil, there's a glimmer of hope. International diplomacy plays a pivotal role in resolving the conflict. Nations worldwide can exert pressure, mediate dialogues, and impose sanctions to push for peace. It's a testament to the interconnectedness of our world today, where a conflict in one region resonates globally. The Russia-Ukraine conflict doesn't just affect these two countries. It has far-reaching implications for the entire world. So, what have we learned today? We've delved into the historical roots of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, traced the events leading up to the war, and examined the current state of the battlefield. We've also explored the global implications, from potential disruptions in international alliances to the role of third-party nations. This conflict is more than just a regional dispute. It's a complex issue with deep historical roots and broad global implications. As the situation unfolds, it's critical to stay informed and understand the broader context.